What time is it?
Adventure time?
Yeah, man!
So, this is my season 1 review / breakdown of Adventure Time. Now, I don't know how any of this stuff works, so kind of bear with me. I'm just going to say right here in the beginning, copyright, fair use. This is strictly for review and commentary and a smidge of education purposes. I don't know what I'm doing, but I wanted to do it anyway. Be on the lookout for so many cameos from my friends and many talented people I wanted to collaborate with and making this video. And I had a bunch of fun making it because this is post Spoke to the Plug, kind of recording this out in the open, which is a little embarrassing if I'm really being honest here. But I'm doing it for you guys. And I hope that, you guys enjoy it. All right. So this kind of goes without saying, but spoiler alert, massive spoiler alert for season 1 of Adventure Time and onward. So if that wasn't already obvious, click away. But if you don't care, still enjoy the video anyway. Thank you, Outside Spug. I'll take it from here. The month of April in the year 2010 was a pretty significant time for pop culture. It was around this time that Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, extended his contract with the Lakers. The then final film to DreamWorks' critically acclaimed Shrek was shown to the public, and the MCU's first phase was gaining some traction with the release of Iron Man 2. But buried beneath all the events of this time was a show that debuted on Cartoon Network that I didn't know would fundamentally change me for the rest of my life. And that show is Adventure Time. So something Outside Spug forgot to mention is that I've attempted this video so many times. It's gone over so many rewrites and so many just kind of things that it kept getting scrapped. The video would start off at a certain point and it would kind of lose its traction for me, and I would keep having to start over until I decided that I had to stop being lazy and that the best way to really put my heart and soul into an Adventure Time video is to make videos like this and talk about Adventure Time season by season. If you couldn't tell by the title or the thumbnail or the last few words I just said, this is what this video is. Me talking about Adventure Time season 1, every episode, starting with season 1, episode 1, Slumber, Party, Panic. Okay, here we go. First impressions are everything. If it's one thing this episode does well, it's establishing a bunch of our core characters. Finn, Jake, Bubblegum, even Rainicorn and Tree Trunks get a little screen time in this episode. Princess Bubblegum is on a mission to revive a bunch of dead candy people, but gets the serum wrong and causes all of them to rise and head for the Candy Kingdom. She convinces everyone that they're there for a sleepover and makes Finn royal promise, a thing we never see again after this episode, that he won't tell them about the zombies or else they'll explode, because candy people blow up when they get scared. Finn devises a bunch of unorthodox plans to keep the candy people ignorant, and all of them work. Surprisingly, including one where Finn convinces them they're swinging at piñatas, and they all begin to eat the dead one's insides. And you can't convince me that that isn't a form of cannibalism. Finn still ends up breaking the royal promise and has to solve a math problem for the Gumball Guardians to undo the negative effects of breaking a royal promise. This results in Bubblegum figuring out the solution for the serum and promptly revives all dead candy people, including series staples like Crunchy. This show was clearly trying to find its footing, and there's a ton of innuendos in this episode, including the part where Jake and Lady were playing 7 Minutes in Heaven, which, okay. All in all, a solid episode. Hard part is over. Let's get through the rest of season 1. Season 1, episode 2, Trouble in Lumpy Space. This episode introduces Lumpy Space Princess, voiced by creator Pendleton Ward, who accidentally bites Jake, slowly turning him into a lumpy person, and they have to travel to Lumpy Space, a criminally underused setting in the series, to get Jake the antidote. LSP ruins the chance at her parents helping her, so they call LSP's best friend to give them a ride to make out point where the antidote is. Meanwhile, Jake's condition is worsening. They find the antidote, but LSP ruins their chance at getting it, and Jake goes full-on lumpy person. Finn devises a plan to get bit several times, allowing him to float down and give Jake the antidote, which makes him turn into a full-blown lumpy person too. Eventually, both of them take the antidote, and the episode ends in a dance party. This is a pretty solid episode. All the jokes land, and I especially love Jeremy Shada and John DiMaggio's lumpy voices.
Oh yeah, Big Lumpy's the best.
Hey, stop talking to yourself, dumb guy.
Take your ball and get out of here.
Fine, I don't want you to have it anyways.
So I can't have it now, eh?
That's right, it's mine.
And I miss this era of Adventure Time where characters would just straight up yell, "I'll kill you."
I'll kill you, Lumpy Spin!
And the pacing of this episode is insane. It's like there were so many things that took place in this one episode, from finding out that LSP's parents are one person, to this whole side story about her best friend now dating her ex. But my favorite is Jake not caring about becoming a lumpy person. It just rings true with his character. Throughout the series, Jake goes through a bunch of life-altering things that Finn cares about more than him, and he's just kinda going with the flow. Season 1, Episode 3, Prisoners of Love. This episode introduces us to the Ice King, and it does not disappoint. Finn and Jake are sledding, among other snow shenanigans, in the Ice Kingdom. Ice King freezes them before tossing them in a cell with Wildberry Princess, Ghost Princess, Hot Dog Princess, Slime Princess, Raggedy Princess, Emerald Princess, and Lumpy Space Princess. Early Ice King is so strange to return to. The kidnapping princess thing felt a lot longer than it actually was. Finn devises a plan to make the Ice King jealous, and it succeeds so all the princesses can escape. Ice King's neutralized, and the princesses and our heroes are set free. This episode is the same length as every episode in the season, but for some reason, it felt shorter than usual. The world building was on point, and introducing a bunch of princesses who we'll explore later on in the series is really appreciated, and this wasn't even all of them. Ice King also straight up yells, "I'll kill you," which, again, is a thing I miss so much about early Adventure Time. Ice King as a character, though, is just so good. His misunderstanding about how love works, coupled with him finding out how lonely he truly feels this early in the show, sets a pretty nice precedent. We also find out he plays the drums, and the Cosmic Owl makes a cameo, which I forgot was a thing in this episode, so yeah. Season 1, Episode 4, Tree Trunks. Keeping with the theme, Season 1 continues to introduce a lot of our core characters. If you couldn't tell by the title of the episode, it's about Tree Trunks, played by the late Polly Lou Livingston, the true sweetheart. Tree Trunks is known for her incredible apple pie. Finn and Jake stop by often for a slice, and she welcomes them with open arms. Tree Trunks tells the boys of a thing called the Crystal Gem Apple, which she'd love to use for a pie, but is located in a dangerous forest, which is where our heroes come in to help guide and protect her. Tree Trunks constantly gets herself in dangerous situations thanks to her naive attitude, which causes Finn to lash out, which upsets Tree Trunks, and ironically leads them to finding the Crystal Gem Apple. After a fight with another monster, Tree Trunks finally gets to bite said apple and disappears from existence, and the episode ends. It's come to my attention fairly recently that a good portion of the Adventure Time community actually dislikes Tree Trunks, which is really shocking to me because she's always been one of my favorite characters. I even rewatched Adventure Time recently with a friend who said that she finds Tree Trunks annoying, and I still don't know why. How do you guys feel about Tree Trunks? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, Crystal Gem Apple. I know Rebecca Sugar was working on Adventure Time around this time, but she wasn't credited for this episode. I couldn't find any concrete links, but there's no way I'm hearing Crystal Gem and not thinking about Steven Universe. And for those of you who like Tree Trunks, spoiler alert, she's not gone forever. Season 1, Episode 5, The Enchiridion. This episode sees Finn and Jake searching for the Enchiridion, also known as the Hero's Handbook. Princess Bubblegum told Finn about it earlier after he saved her from a fall. I only bring this up because there's a really cool scene where Finn rushes to save her. We see PB fall, and there's a seamless cut from Finn running to catching her, which I thought was really cool and worth a mention. Finn undergoes a bunch of trials to test his heroism, including fighting a bunch of little gnomes who kill old ladies, and a giant monster who straight up swallows Jake. After passing, he's eventually given the Enchiridion and celebrates. As important as the Enchiridion becomes later in the series, this episode only serves to introduce the concept itself. Some cool things about this episode, though, is the opening title card had to be changed because the original one was way more gruesome, to the point where I don't even know if I should show it, so link in the description. Also, something I thought was cool because of my obsession with voice actors, Cinnamon Bun sounds very different in this episode compared to how he sounds for the rest of the series. Funnily enough, the giant that swallows Jake is the voice of CB we all know very well.
No! My big money! Give it back!
Give me back my friend!
But I killed him already!
And they're both played by D. Bradley Baker. Nothing special, but still a pretty solid Season 1 episode. Season 1, Episode 6, The Jiggler. Ah, The Jiggler. When I think about Season 1 of Adventure Time, this is the episode I think of. Finn and Jake find a little dude and name him Jiggler because he could dance for hours. But after bringing him home for a full day's worth of jiggling, the Jiggler started to look sick. Not wanting to abandon him, they try and fix him, but only end up making things worse. Jake decides they should cut their losses and return the Jiggler to his mama, but the mama doesn't recognize the Jiggler because it doesn't have its mama's juices anymore. They throw the Jiggler into his mama's juice, and they live happily ever after, with Finn vowing to never kidnap again. And yes, I had fun writing for this episode. The Jiggler is a prime example of Adventure Time still trying to establish its footing. A lot of the jokes hit in this episode and were some of the first times that I laughed out loud during the first season.
This guy is a pal for life. It looks like he's got two jiggly bellies stuck together.
I've got that on my back. I call it my butt. Whoa!
He's the jiggler.
There were very few things to really take away from this episode, aside from the fact that Finn can auto-tune his voice thanks to a tiny computer he swallowed, which will come back periodically throughout the show.
Baby,
Yeah?
I know what you crave.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Want to poop your pants all day long. Will baby behave?
We also don't see Jiggler for a very long time after this episode, so it's always cool to revisit this one. Season 1, Episode 7, Ricardio the Heart Guy. This episode starts off with Finn and Jake rescuing Princess Bubblegum from the Ice King, and PB offers to throw a party for them. When they get there, we meet a new character, Ricardio the Heart Guy, played by George Takei. 1, how cool is that? 2, that rhyme was unintentional. Finn becomes jealous of Ricardio and PB hanging out together and is thoroughly convinced Ricardio is evil, so they decide to tail him and find him beating the math out of Ice King in an alleyway. We found out that Ricardio is the Ice King's heart, which came to life thanks to a spell and is now trying to take PB's heart out to fall in love with. He fails, of course, and the Ice King ends up putting Ricardio back into his chest, with Ricardio saying in a very threatening way,
I feel wonderful.
solid episode. The fact that they were able to get George Takei in a Season 1 episode of Adventure Time was really cool. And I also love the fact that this isn't the last time we'll be talking about Ricardio, as he's probably one of the weirdest and most interesting characters in all of Adventure Time lore. Season 1, Episode 8, Business Time. This episode starts with Finn and Jake using a flamethrower to recover relics from the old world from icebergs until they uncover 4 human-like businessmen who crave their employment. Finn and Jake hire them, and they begin delegating their hero duties to the business dudes, causing them to get fat and lazy. Seriously, animated characters don't change their physical appearance too much, so the visual of a fat Finn was pretty funny. The businessmen go AWOL, which causes Finn to fire them and spoil their plot at indirectly harming innocent bystanders. One of the businessmen straight up says, "I'll kill you."
I'm going to kill you, not boss.
Which, again, never gets old. But Finn rehires them and instructs them to freeze themselves again, and the episode ends with the businessmen floating off in the ocean, and a fat Finn. Not gonna lie, this episode was pretty darn forgettable, but this does mark the first appearance of BMO in an episode. They don't say anything, they're just being used as a game, but I thought it was worth mentioning. There's also a long POV shot with Finn and Jake running down a boardwalk through a gauntlet that just looks so sick, and these are some of these redeeming qualities of Season 1 of Adventure Time that I love going back to. Season 1, Episode 9, My Two Favorite People. This episode is tied with another episode as my favorite Season 1 episode. This episode sees Jake conflicted about hanging out with Finn and missing out on Lady Rainicorn time, and vice versa. Shelby, the little worm who lives in Jake's viola, tells him he should just hang out with them at the same time. Jake tries this, and even gives Lady Rainicorn a translator so Finn and her could communicate better, as Lady only speaks Korean. Even if the only options were Nerdy Alien, Nightmare, and Old Man, it was funny to hear Finn call Lady Rainicorn Grandpa.
At least with Old Man option, we can understand him. I mean her. I mean you, Sugar.
Hop on my back, and I'll give you both a ride home.
Whatever you say, Grandpa.
As the old trope goes, Jake gets jealous that he and Rainicorn are spending so much time that he goes as far as to call up Tiffany, who's a character I know I should hate, but they could never make me hate Tiffany. Finn beats the math out of Tiffany, and the three all hug it out and promise to always be stupid. Pretty solid episode. I love how this is also our first proper Lady episode, where we see her as more than just a background character. She's also voiced by Nikki Yang, who will later go on to voice BMO. There's a cool scene here where Jake pulls out his phone to call Tiffany, but names off some characters we won't see for years to come. Names including Gareth, the Flying Lettuce Brothers, and Pete the Punk. Even if this scene showed no purpose at the time other than to pad the runtime with Jake naming every single contact, it's cool that there's at least some characters we'll see later on.
Well, two can play at that game, sweet cheeks. Let's see. Doug, Todd, Jerry, Dennis, Reggie, Peter, George, Larry, Luke, David, Benton, Mike R, Mike H, Mike A, Gareth Jennings, Mr. International, Mr. Outrageous, Captain Majesty, the Flying Lettuce Brothers, Pete the Punk, Tiffany.
Season 1, Episode 10, Memories of Boom Boom Mountain. Okay, the concept of this episode is Finn burning the candle at both ends to help people. He's trying to help everyone. What I didn't expect is for this episode to crack me up as much as it did. The reason the episode is called this is because when Finn was a baby, he pooped, or went boom boom, on a leaf, and from then on, vowed to always help people. A talking mountain sees Finn roughhousing with some guys and gets sad at the sight of it, and from then on a bunch of other problems arise, and Finn doesn't know what to do until he remembers who found him after his boom boom. And that's when we see Joshua and Margaret for the first time. Joshua was on screen a total of 30 seconds, and everything he said made me smile or laugh. Especially this.
Love and kisses to be happy. Mwah, mwah, mwah. There, see? Now it's happy.
You just kissed a boom boom baby, so don't expect any more sugar from me, sweetheart, until we wash your dirty, dirty face.
Finn helps everybody with their problems. Him and Jake ride away on a dolphin, and the episode ends. This is another episode that perfectly encapsulates early Adventure Time. Just stupid, goofy jokes and random things happening, but at the same time has a really cool message. I mean, there's literally a mountain that cries boulders. God, this show used to be so weird. Season 1, Episode 11, Wizard. Not gonna lie, I used to always find this episode super annoying, but on a rewatch, I find it's not half bad. This episode sees our heroes wanting to become wizards, so we meet Bufo for the first time, and he trains them to be the best wizards they can be. And by train, I mean make them do mundane things in order to get their big star, and use their powers to keep a meteor from hitting the training facility. Finn falls for it, but eventually leaves to manually deflect it, which causes everything around it to burn, leaving them naked and powerless. The episode ends with them contemplating buying a demon heart. This was probably one of the funnier episodes of the season so far. It doesn't do a lot to progress the story or even our characters a whole lot, but there was a lot of tasteful, adult, and dark humor in this episode.
Hey! Have you gone crazy? Get back in the bouncy harness! Sleep, you are
However, Finn and Jake's ambitions of wanting to be a wizard, I don't think ever comes back, so that's that. Season 1, Episode 12, Evicted. So, when I was talking about my two favorite people, I can guess a lot of you probably knew I was talking about Evicted as my other favorite episode of Season 1, for a lot of reasons, but the biggest one is obviously the introduction of Marceline the Vampire Queen. She shows up to kick Finn and Jake out of the treehouse after telling them it belonged to her. She just abandoned it to go explore Ooh for years. So Finn and Jake set off to find a new home, but it's gonna be tough for a kid and a dog on their own.
Here's a little house, off and sticking his foot in. Well, that's a bad idea, dude, 'cause now that bird thinks you're a jerk, Finn.
The house hunting song plays over a montage of them trying to find somewhere before they eventually settle on a cave and throw a cave roaming party that Marceline crashes to tell them that the cave belongs to her too. They break out into a fight, and Finn is convinced that Marceline killed Jake, so he gives her the craziest right hook I ever seen, and Marceline pulls a, "Oh, my bad, I didn't know you were chill like that," and gives them their treehouse back. Man, this episode never gets old. Marceline's just the coolest. What other things happen in this episode, you may ask? When Finn and Jake were initially put out, Finn straight up says, "I'll kill you."
I'm gonna kill her.
Which, again, please don't stop doing this. I love this season 1 trope so much. Also, this episode introduces the wow worms. You know, the green hypnotizing worms. We even see King Worm at the end of the episode, and he forces Finn and Jake to hug him, and we never revisit that, but still one of the best episodes of the season.
Guys, get on the bed. I told you, you're not allowed.
Oh, hey, guys. Huh? Come here, friends. Hug me. Oh, yeah. Hug me.
Season 1, Episode 13, City of Thieves. This episode sees Finn and Jake heading to the City of Thieves to find a flower basket for a little girl that was stolen from her. The legend of the city is that everyone that inhabits this city is a thief, and everyone that lives there is a thief. From babies to guys disguised as brick walls, the little girl explains that a pure non-thief can enter the King of Thieves' castle and retrieve the package. Jake can't go because he succumbed to the city's influence and stole a pair of red boots. Finn ends up taking from the King of Thieves and was duped by the little girl into giving her the treasure. Finn feels betrayed and promises to make the little girl squeaky clean, but it doesn't work, and the episode just ends. I vividly remember this episode, and this one also makes me laugh so much, especially this part during the theft montage.
Wow, brother! More glasses!
My jammies. My glasses. Oh.
Doesn't really do too much for the overall series, but still a pretty solid episode. Season 1, Episode 14, The Witch's Garden. This episode is really strange. Essentially, Finn and Jake cross over into a garden full of donuts. Jake eats one of those donuts, and the weirdest looking witch puts a curse on him that causes him to lose his stretch abilities. So the episode is just Jake navigating adventuring without his powers, and he doesn't know how to do that. But he's way too stubborn to apologize to the witch, so he deals with it until he can't stand it, so he apologizes. Not because he means it, but just to get his powers back. And he even kicks the witch's cane. Pretty forgettable episode, honestly. The jokes hit, but there's no real long-term consequence, and we never see this witch again, so the lesson here, I guess, is don't take things from gardens, I guess, kids. Season 1, Episode 15, What is Life? At first glance at the episode title, I forgot what it was about, but upon the first scene, it all came flooding back. This is the Neptune episode. After being pranked by Jake, Finn decides the best way to get back at him is building a machine that constantly throws pies, and that's when Neptune was born. Brought to life by a strike of lightning, Neptune was immediately unsure about his purpose in life because his functions didn't even work well enough to throw a pie. So they go seek help from the Ice King, and there they found out that it was the Ice King's magic that brought Neptune to life. So now Neptune is forced to choose between the person who made him or the person that brought him to life. He ultimately chooses Finn, and the two go pie Jake. This is a really good episode. I'm so glad Neptune isn't just a one-off character. Showing a deeper level of emotion in a robot really sets a precedent for his character. I also love that he's voiced by Andy Milonakis, who does a really great job here. I love how we get more Ice King lore, with this being the first time we enter his imagination zone. BMO continues to make small appearances. I can't wait for them to start speaking. All of the jokes hit. All in all, pretty solid Season 1 episode.
Sun is going down. Shall we capture princesses now, Poppy?
No, let's just stay here a little longer, son.
I love you forever, Poppy.
Hey guys, Intermission Spug here. So, like I mentioned earlier, this video wouldn't be the juggernaut it is without my friends. Including this person. This is Angelique, the first person I really bonded over Adventure Time with over the internet, and just one of the many talented friends that'll be making appearances in these videos. When I told Angelique I was making an Adventure Time video and wanted her to be in it, she was ecstatic. Because Angelique is super talented, and that means she has some pretty cool connections, including Andy Milanakis, who one year for Angelique's birthday called her and sang her happy birthday in Nepter's voice.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi!
I kept my word.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You ready?
I am.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Angelique. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much.
What can I say? Spug has some super cool friends. Let's get back to finishing the rest of the season. Season 1, Episode 16, Ocean of Fear. This episode sees Finn attempting to conquer his thalassophobia, which, if some of you couldn't tell by the title of the episode, is the intense fear of the ocean. Finn's fears even manifest in a dark cloud known as the Fear Feaster. Just being too close to the ocean sends Finn in a deep state of panic, prompting Jake to help him get over his fears. After some time traversing the ocean floor together in a submarine, Finn's fear causes things to go horribly wrong, causing Jake to plummet deeper to the ocean's floor. This is the only thing that prompts Finn to go into the ocean to help his best friend. He does it by knocking himself unconscious, but he still gets the job done and conquers his fears. Kinda. A bunch of hero manifestations show up to congratulate Finn and pipe down the Fear Feaster, and the episode just kind of ends there. This is another episode that I remember vividly. I love the character building here and how Finn has the heart of a hero, but has this fear that because he has this other fear, he can never be a true hero. And the theme of Finn going above and beyond for Jake, I just love how his love for his best friend conquers any fears that he has. Also, there are quotes about fear at the beginning and end of this episode, and the narrator of these quotes is Clancy Brown, phenomenal actor and the voice of Mr. Krabs. The quotes, though, are credited to Pat McHale, who, in addition to storyboarding and overseeing just about every episode in Season 1 and 2, is also the creator of Over the Garden Wall, which if you guys haven't seen, you definitely should. This won't be the last time we talk about Pat, though, but I had to give him his flowers. Season 1, Episode 17, When Wedding Bells Thaw. If my memory serves me well, this is maybe not the first, but one of the first episodes of Adventure Time I ever saw. In this episode, we don't see Ice King as a villain or a threat, but a companion in a way. Even if the first thing Finn did when he knocked on his door was kick the math out of him. Ice King is about to get married to someone who willingly wants to marry him, and he wants Finn and Jake to throw him a bachelor party. Something I found really funny was Ice King doesn't know the word bachelor. He only knows the word bachelorette. So when asking Finn and Jake, he calls it a manlorette party. And this episode currently holds the record for most laughs out loud by me, because this manlorette party montage of the three of them partying, Ice King getting into trouble, and Finn slapping him so hard he leaves handprints on his face, is top tier Season 1 comedy. Anyway, once they attend the wedding, they discover the Ice King cursed the bride into marrying him. They fight, free the bride, and the episode ends. Again, all episodes are the same length, but this one felt shorter for some reason. All the jokes hit in this episode too, even the more disturbing ones.
I'll remove this ring and save your life.
No! She's my love boat.
No, man, you cursed her. She hates you.
Okay, that's yours.
Season 1, Episode 18, Dungeon. In this episode, we see Finn scaling a skyscraper. Just kidding. He's traversing a dungeon. Something I found really funny now that I definitely didn't get 12, 14 years ago is that Finn makes a bet with Jake that he can find the treasure without him within 11 minutes, which is a meta joke because Adventure Time episodes are 11 minutes long. Finn heads down without Jake and everything's going well until he starts fighting things bigger than him, at which point he realizes that maybe he can't do this by himself. And then I got jump scared by Finn's guardian angel, and then I laughed almost uncontrollably because of how random and good that transition was.
I'm taking you to the chamber of the crystal eye.
Oh, yeah!
Where I'm going to cook you and eat your flesh.
Wow. What?
Trust in your
guardian angel.
Finn finds Jake stuck in the same trap, and finds out he ended up there because he couldn't get through the trials that he knew Finn would have no problem passing. Again, these two need each other and find a newfound respect for one another when realizing it. They find the treasure, but have to be saved by Princess Bubblegum after it's revealed to be a trap. And that's the episode. Pretty solid. The ones that focus on Finn and Jake's dynamic are always a win. Season 1, Episode 19, The Duke. Okay, so this episode feels like a damn fever dream. Even the opening title card is wild, but I think I'm allowed to show this one. I don't even remember this episode ever existing. So Finn and Jake set off to arrest the Duke of Nuts because Princess Bubblegum hates him, and she thinks he's the one that threw up a potion at her to turn her green and disgusting. And let me say right now, when PB is pissed off, she is at her funniest. Hendon Walsh just nails his character to a T. When they find the Duke, they discover he's a really nice guy who suffers from a pudding deficiency, and that's why PB hates him, because he eats all the pudding every time he comes to the castle. So the episode ends with Finn and Jake being attacked by a peanut and a rabbit squirrel. Holy... Season 1 shenanigans are unmatched. I honestly don't remember this episode ever existing, and I don't think we see the Duke of Nuts ever again, nor do I think I want to see Green PB ever again. Season 1, Episode 20, Freak City. This episode is the introduction to one of my favorite Adventure Time characters, Magic Man. I'm sorry. Magic Man! I gotta say it like that every time, come on now. He disguises himself as a hobo, and once Finn helps him, he turns him into a foot. This hinders Finn's ability to properly hero, but Jake doesn't think so. They meet other freaks that Magic Man turned into body parts and try to seek their help, but that doesn't work. And then we get a song from Finn featuring his auto-tuned voice, and this entire segment is so funny I can't.
Hey Finn. Jake, stop telling me to enjoy being a foot and get out of that trash.
I can't take you seriously when you're singing, man.
Get up! All of you make me sick. I'll fix you with my kicks. Gonna reconstruct your self-worth. Brick by emotional brick.
They eventually use all their body parts to form one large body and fight Magic Man again. And the lesson to take from that whole thing was to understand how much of a jerk Magic Man is, which in turn makes him turn them back. And then Jake tells Finn that the reason he didn't want Finn to stop being a foot is because he always wanted to be a foot. Which... okay. I love this episode so much. Tom Kenny somehow always finds the perfect voices for characters he does other than Ice King. I can't wait to talk about Magic Man's character growth, but I'm gonna cherish these early seasons where he makes me laugh by just being a big jerk. Season 1, Episode 21, Donny. In this episode, Finn and Jake confront a bully named Donny. Donny, despite being a bully, just seems misunderstood and kind of insecure. When they invite Donny back to the treehouse, he throws something at BMO, and immediately, I hate him. And then BMO speaks for the first time.
Finn, I don't think this is gonna work.
I am incapable of emotion, but you are making me chafed.
It only took like 20 episodes, but Nikki Yang officially voices BMO as of this episode. But back to the episode in question. Finn heads back to the little house people who are being targeted by werewolves, and the only reason they're able to succeed is because Donny isn't there to deter them. But Donny gave up being a jerk. Finn and Jake make fun of Donny to get him to revert back, and it works. He scares off the werewolves, and the episode ends. I love the season 1 trope of Finn saving someone and then indirectly dooming someone, so he has to undo the heroism he did in the first place, and it works especially well in this episode. We don't see Donny for a very long time after this, so even though this episode does nothing for Adventure Time's overall plot, I still thought it was a pretty solid episode. Season 1, Episode 22, Henchman. Alright, here we go. Another Marceline episode. This episode sees Finn taking a job as Marceline's henchman. He helps her suck the red out of a guy's bow tie, and leads a crew of the undead to the Duke of Nuts! Whoa, okay. Fake fan over here. Not even 3 episodes apart, I thought I wouldn't see him again. Anyway, Finn is convinced that Marceline is pure evil, but everything they've done so far has just been Marceline messing with him, and she's actually pretty cool, but we already knew that. Jake thinks she's controlling him, and attempts to stake her, but they just trick him into thinking he does. Marthy fires Finn, and the episode ends. I love Marceline so much. She actually mentions her mom in this episode. We got a few more seasons to go before we start talking about that, but I can't wait to really get into it.
I wrote this next song about a fisherman. You look so cute, sitting in your boat. I wanna suck out your eyeballs and rip out your throat. I wanna suck out your eyeballs and rip out your throat.
Season 1, Episode 23, Rainy Day Daydream. Firstly, this episode gets the award for coolest title. Secondly, this episode starts off with Finn and Jake planning for an adventure, but can't be outside because of a knife storm. I don't remember one of these happening again in the series, but it's beyond concerning that in the land of Ooh, it just casually rains knives. Being stuck inside means that they have to find other ways to entertain themselves. They start by playing B-mode but get bored pretty fast, and then Jake's imagination starts to run wild. I say this because everything he imagines starts to become real, including lava on the floor and monsters they have to fight. When Finn is finally able to shut off Jake's imagination, he leaves Jake a shell of his former self, even saying my favorite line in the episode, "Jake, you suck now."
I do not know what you mean. I am perfectly bombastic.
Nah, man, nah. Something's wrong. Tell me something amazing.
But Finn, I cannot tell you something amazing, as there is nothing amazing happening around us that I can describe for you.
See, man, you
So Finn travels into his own imagination to turn Jake's imagination back on. I said it earlier, I love the episodes where Finn and Jake are just being the best of friends. A lot of children especially can resonate with just using your imagination to have fun. I'm a depressed adult now, but I grew up with 5 siblings and no cable, so we did stuff like this all the time. This is as solid as Season 1 gets right here. Season 1, Episode 24, What Have You Done? This episode starts off with Finn and Jake kidnapping the Ice King, and also the first time we get an audible confirmation that the source of Ice King's powers is his crown. Finn and Jake don't know why Bubblegum wanted them to imprison Ice King, because he's recently done nothing wrong, so they set him free. PB is enraged at this because Ice King's pain screams were the key to helping sick candy people after he indirectly got them sick with his beard flakes. That made me laugh a little bit. Finn and Jake travel to the Ice King to let out some pain screams. They succeed, and Princess Bubblegum has a German panic attack before passing out, and the episode ends. Another solid episode as we approach the end of Season 1. The biggest takeaway from this episode is finding out Princess Bubblegum speaks German, which is especially funny when I found out Hendon Walsh can speak fluent German, but when Adam Muto wrote the episode, he was surprised that she spoke German. He's even stated that they don't remember why they had PB speak German.
The weird part was they wrote in, bless you, that
That's adorable.
She speaks German.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Und ich spreche Deutsch. Ich habe Deutsch an der Universität studiert. And so it was just, that was a weird coincidence.
Meant to be.
Meant to be. Yeah.
I don't even remember why she spoke German.
Yeah, why was that, Adam?
I don't remember that context either.
I mean, I wrote the episode and I was like surprised that you spoke German.
Oh, you didn't know going in that she did?
No. No, I'm psychic.
It just kinda adds to her lore, and that's cool enough for me. Also, Ice King should wash his frickin' beard. Season 1, Episode 25, His Hero. This episode is the introduction to Billy, the greatest hero that ever lived, and Finn and Jake's reason for wanting to be heroes. Billy is also voiced by the incomparable Lou Ferrigno, who is probably tied with George Takei as one of my favorite celebrity voices on the show. Finn and Jake find Billy's sword, which is the secret entrance to his lair, and Finn says the funniest thing I've probably heard all season.
It's Billy's legendary crown.
They find an old Billy inside who urges them to start taking non-violent approaches when it comes to heroism, because evil isn't going to stop, so fighting it is pointless. So Finn and Jake try to find ways to help that don't include fighting, like making food for strangers, posing as cobblers, posing as doctors, which all lead to some funny jokes, but it doesn't work well with Finn. And this is the episode where Jake drops some knowledge on Finn, and one of my favorite quotes from the show.
I suck at being nonviolent.
Dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sorta good at something.
Finn eventually decides he can't not fight evil, and that maybe Billy is wrong. He returns to his cave to confront him about it, and Billy actually bends the knee to Finn and Jake, causing them to mark out crazy before getting kicked out, and the episode ends with Billy smiling at them. This episode was funny, it was wholesome, but the biggest takeaway from this episode is it's the first time we see the Lich. Although for a quick second, the foreshadowing in this episode is crazy.
No tongue.
Who's the greatest warrior ever? A hero of renown. Who stayed in evil ocean? Who cast the Lich King down? Billy!
Season 1, Episode 26, Gut Grinder. In this episode, Finn and Jake try to track down a gold thief named the Gut Grinder, who folks say looks like Jake. This causes Jake to lose his sense of identity and start to think that maybe he is the Gut Grinder. He even suggests that he might be doing it in his sleep, to which Finn replies that's impossible because he watches him sleep. Okay. Town after town, they're just barely catching up to the Gut Grinder. Jake eventually succumbs to the accusations and gets locked up in place of the Gut Grinder, which causes Finn to lure out the real one. Finn gets hurt, which causes Jake to turn into his own version of the Gut Grinder, and actually forget that he's Jake until Finn plays his viola, which snaps him out of it. The Gut Grinder is revealed to be the spiky mayor's wife in disguise, who made it look like Jake because she thinks he's hot. Okay. The spiky town people hug Finn and Jake, and the episode ends along with the season. This was a weak season ender. I definitely think His Hero would have been a much better season ender. Still a pretty solid episode. Funny. There's never a mention of the Gut Grinder again after this. But one thing this episode does so well is world building and introducing the cute people, the soft people, and the spiky people. Just all different kinds of communities and civilizations that inhabit Ooh.
Thank you for saving my spiky village.
No problem, Mayor.
Now, give us a hug.
No, don't do that. Don't hug us.
Ow.
Don't touch
Hey,
us.
don't touch us.
Not gonna lie, as obsessed as I am with Adventure Time, going back to rewatch Season 1 felt like a chore at first, and then it just started to feel like really fun homework. I get home from work, watch a handful of episodes, take my notes, and then go to bed. This era of early Adventure Time honestly at times feels like a fever dream because these were the times the show was still trying to find its footing. It was clear from the jokes, throughline, and even art style of this season it seemingly had no clear direction, but it clearly favored its world building and character relationships. Finn and Jake being brothers and best friends, Jake and Lady Rainicorn and their relationship, Princess Bubblegum and Finn at this point were more business partners and friends, with his crush on her being at an all-time high at this point. Season 1 had a bunch of fart and poop jokes. It's where a lot of our beloved catchphrases come from.
Mathematical.
And the first season constantly did that Adventure Time logo thing.
Well, what's the matter?
This dolphin fell in love with me.
That's the opposite of a problem. Adventure time!
It looks like that's not the answer she wanted.
I learned that you are a very, intelligent princess?
You're darn right I am.
Yeah, all right!
Princess Bubblegum?
Which was a common motif all throughout Season 1, and I am so glad they don't keep doing that the entire series. As the show goes on, and the more complex and mature Adventure Time becomes, so will the videos. This season does a great job at establishing its world and characters that I've established before, and it's genuinely very funny. Early Adventure Time is so random, but in the best way. But it's clearly had no set direction, and if it did, the through line for the first season was all out of whack. Even the voice of Jake, John DiMaggio, has said in several interviews that he hated early Adventure Time seasons, and it's easy to see why. But I still loved it. I'm excited for Season 2 because I know there'll be a bump in episode quality, but probably won't see the show truly taking shape until Season 3, and at the latest Season 4. But we're gonna get there. Hi, people of the internet. My name is Spike to the Plug, and at this point in the video, I have probably been talking for over an hour, which is the longest video I've ever done on the channel, at least commentary-wise. So, show some love down in the comments below, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. This is kind of me going off script. I'm like waving my hands with like pleasure, man. I'm like doing a little Jake dance like they do at the end of that episode, just vibing because, not because it's over, but because I'm proud. I'm really proud of this video, and I hope you guys are enjoying it and tell me your favorite parts of Adventure Time. I'm proud of this episode and this video for a lot of things. Me really stepping out of my comfort zone and doing something like this, a really long form video about something I'm really passionate about. I know it's not gaming related. Don't get scared. Don't get scared. We're not leaving gaming content. That's my bread and butter. That's what this channel is all about. But I'm kind of going back to my roots, where I would just kind of dip and dabble in and kind of do other things and kind of stretch my creative range and see what else I can do. And a lot of these are just more like passion projects. Like, even if this video ends up getting like no views, which, you know, I hope it doesn't, but, you know, it does. It's something I can look back on and be proud of and say I made something I was very passionate about a show that means that means so much to me. One of the things you guys can look forward to, like I said, are the friends and companions that are helping me out a lot with this video and these videos. There's 10 seasons to talk about, some shorts, and the Distant Land special, and if those do well, we'll even talk about Fiona and Cake. So I have a lot of friends and their talents that are going to be put in this video. I have a lot of Adventure Time things. I have a lot of Adventure Time stuff that I want to show you guys, which was initially one of the ideas for this video, was to just show you guys my cool Adventure Time stuff. You guys probably saw in the outdoor spug, I was wearing an Adventure Time shirt. I have a fin hat. I have a lot more apparel and cool stuff to show you guys. My friends are going to lend their talents, and I thank them for that. In the future, we're still working out the kinks on those ideas, but this video won't go out until everything falls into place. So I do believe I'm recording this on Labor Day. That may or may not be true, and from that point, we'll see how long it takes this video to get out while I work out the kinks with my friends and get all their stuff in here and talk about future episodes. And I kind of want things to coincide, like I said earlier, as the seasons mature, the videos will mature. I reckon this will probably be the shortest episode. No, that's not true, because season 9 has maybe like 12 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. It's definitely shorter than season 1, but like, but I do expect them to get longer still, because the episodes will mature, the stories will get bigger, and one thing I won't do is talk about future seasons. Like, I want to keep everything pretty grounded in that season. I'll only talk about past seasons. So because this is season 1, I didn't make too many connections to season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5. But when I get to episode 5, for example, then I'll talk about seasons 4, 3, 2 in one, and we'll keep it like that and kind of make things, and that's why I say the videos will only get bigger. And I'm just like dreading season 5. It's my favorite season and I can't wait to talk about it, but for those Adventure Time fans out there, season 5 is the longest season of the show with over 50 episodes, so that'll probably be a 2-parter, which again I'm dreading but also looking forward to, because I was dreading this, but it was kind of really fun to do, and I'm glad we got all the exposition out. All the important links will be down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Share with your friends. Subscribe if you're new. Let me know your favorite part of the video. Let me know your favorite episode of Adventure Time. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And I'll see you guys when we talk about Season 2. Now, I couldn't find the land of Ooh, but I still managed to come outside to make this video. Being a hero takes an extraordinary amount of courage. And if it's one thing that Adventure Time has taught me, is that bravery is one of the most important qualities to have. Courage, enthusiasm, all this stuff. Having the mathematically schmow, zow, slam a cow and skills to just go about life. And reviewing this show that has meant so much to me over the years has been an absolute blast. And I'm so glad I'm sharing it with you guys. And I really hope you've enjoyed. There's people staring at me, sweating. Jesus. I really hope.
Come along with me, and the butterflies and bees, we can wander through the forest and do so as we please. Come along with me to a cliff under a tree, where we can gaze upon the water as an everlasting